How do I figure out what's next in my career? How do I align my work with what truly matters to me? And the biggest question of all, can I really design a career that I love? Hey, my name is Jen Smith, and I believe career success doesn't have to come at the expense of living a radiantly happy and healthy lifestyle. As a former HR leader and recruiter turned career coach, I've seen how traditional paths can leave people burned out or boxed in. And I know there's a better way, one that invites you to let go of outdated rules and outside expectations, one that evolves and supports meaningful growth over time. Whether you're feeling stuck, craving more clarity, or ready to expand within your current role and beyond, this show is for you. So grab your coffee or your kombucha, pull up a seat, and get ready to explore practical, modern strategies for building a meaningful, heart-based career. Because you deserve a long, radiantly happy, and healthy career. This is the Flourish Careers Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Careers Podcast. I'm Jen Smith, your host, and today I'm thrilled to be here for another installment of Flourishing Together. This is a segment dedicated to curated conversations with industry insiders sharing wisdom and strategies for improving your work and well-being. Today, I am delighted to welcome Natalie Benamou. Natalie is a best-selling author, strategic growth connector, speaker, and founder of Her C-Suite, a portfolio career company and women's network designed to help women make their next bold move. After generating more than $110 million in revenue in the trade show industry, Natalie could have stayed exactly where she was. Instead, she chose to build something new, something that supports women in landing board seats, launching businesses, creating portfolio careers, and stepping confidently into leadership at the intersection of strategy, technology, and AI. Natalie is also the CEO and board president of Her HealthX, where she's focused on improving health outcomes by bridging critical communication gaps in care. She's a serial podcast host. Her show, Women Leaders on the Move, is a top 25 podcast with more than 250 episodes, spotlighting women who are shaping what leadership looks like now and next. What I love about Natalie's work is that it's not just about what's possible, it's about designing what's next on purpose with clarity and courage. Today, Natalie and I are going to talk about staying relevant in the world of AI and the constant change that's all around us. You can find Natalie and her work at hercsuite.com and connect with her directly on LinkedIn, where she shares thoughtful insights on leadership and what's next for women at work. Natalie, welcome to the show. I'm so delighted to have you.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So I would love for listeners to hear about your background. So you started your career in the trade show industry, and I read about a few pivotal moments in the Brave Women at Work Lessons in Leadership book, including a situation on an airplane. So I would love for you to take us back to your early career and then how you've navigated to where you are today.
Well, I have had kind of an unusual path and maybe a traditional path in that I stayed in my career for multiple decades. So I loved it. I never thought that I would really leave necessarily. And I had one of those things happen, which was success kept me going, right? You keep going because things are going well. And so you keep going until the one moment. And it happened in a year that there was a lot of volatility. And you mentioned it, which was an airplane, a moment on an airplane. But I think a lot of listeners, if they're listening and they're moms, they might have had this tug at their heart. And I traveled a lot for trade shows, and I was doing back-to-back huge events. And there was one that I had to go to, and I just didn't want to go. And my youngest daughter, she was crying. She didn't want me to go. And so the whole way to the airport, I'm crying. I get to the airport and I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'm gonna go buy a book. And there's relevancy with this because I bought a book that was about memory. It was about someone who lost their memory and gets amnesia. And this is very important. So I get on the plane early and I'm just, okay, it's a 4-hour flight, fine. I lean down to pick up this book about memory. And I get hit on the back of my head with a 15-pound laptop, which back then laptops were really heavy.
Heavy, yeah.
And I was really disoriented and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And it impacted my life for a long time. I had a very big traumatic brain injury from it. And so you be careful what's on your heart, I guess, because you're attracting. I did not want to go. The first thing I said was there was a little boy in the aisle and I said, oh, thank God he didn't get hit. Like I was thinking like, thank God it was me, right?
Oh.
But then I couldn't like verbalize anything else. It was like no words were coming out of my mouth and I had to take leave and it was really tough.
Wow.
And I made some decisions during that time and you should make decisions, career decisions if you have a brain injury. And I left a really big, successful career that I had to go somewhere else. And that proved to be really challenging. And so for your listeners, if you're thinking about making change, I'm one that loves change. I love like new things. But sometimes we need to pause and really, take some time. And I think because I had this big career, people believed in me bigger than where I should have been, with that belief. And so on the other side, things turned out, but it was hard for a few. I'm trying to get my memory back. I lost a lot. So
wow. And so that was so you were picking up the book about memory loss. And then that literally happened.
It literally happened in the moment.
Gosh.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. And needless to say, I'm assuming you did not go to the trade show that you didn't want to go to.
Didn't.
And so
well, I called my husband and I'm like, I said to him, I just got something happened to me and I don't think I should take this flight. And I shouldn't. If I had, I might not have made it because actually I could have had a brain bleed. Wow. But he's like, take out your neck pillow and it will be fine.
No.
And I'm like, I think this is bigger than the neck pillow. I think I got to get off. And then I really had trouble getting off. So, but it's just funny, like, out of context. And he's like, it'll be fine. Just get out your neck pillow. And I'm like, I couldn't even really formulate what I was going to say next.
Smokes. That is wild. And I just think too, like thinking about that. So you didn't want to go, you're really upset about leaving your daughters and crying and all the things. And then that happened. And like, clearly the universe didn't want you to go. That is just a wild story. And it does make you rethink everything. I think when something like that happens, you just start rethinking your life and what's important. And so what shifted for you after that? So then you made a decision, you're kind of looking back, maybe it wasn't the best decision, but then it probably, and maybe in hindsight, ended up working out, or tell us what happened next.
I mean, I went to several other companies and had, made success happen. And it took, with a brain injury, I don't know how much but you get 36 months. And then that's as much memory as you're going to get back. So I worked really hard. Have you ever read the book, The Secret?
Yes.
So when I had the brain injury, I didn't realize how bad it was. And so for 2 weeks, I was trying really hard to go to all my meetings. I was going to go to a trade show. And then I said to the doctor, you have to write a note for me, because even though I didn't really need it, but I just wanted kind of like something to say, like, she can't go.
Yeah, the permission.
Like I had a 30,000 square foot booth that I had to go to. And I was like, I don't see this happening. I can't even form a sentence. I can't like lay down, there was all these things. And so it got me, The Secret had just come out and I just kept watching this video about The Secret. And I was like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. And I couldn't even remember what I did 3 seconds ago. I couldn't ride in a car. I mean, I was pretty bad shape. Wow. But I just kept watching this video over and over again and believing and writing down 25 times, like, my memory's back, my memory's back. Well, but eventually, you will. I mean, I do believe in the power of thought, right?
I totally agree with you. You were rewiring the patterns, like that neuroplasticity and everything that they talk about. That's exactly what you were doing.
As much as I could.
I mean, there's some stuff
some stuff I couldn't get back. I used to have a photographic memory.
So then did that change how you thought about career going forward? Or tell me a little bit about that.
It didn't, I was really lucky in the fact that I knew what I was doing really well. And so it didn't occur to me to maybe change my career, but I did realized that I needed to be surrounded by women. Like I felt like there was being in the career that I wasn't around inspirational people. And so that's how I kind of got involved in an organization that really changed the trajectory of my career after that. So,
and tell us about that. So what was that moment?
Well, it's one of those things, the beginning of the year, I was like, I just need to be around people. I need to make connections. So
that's a good goal.
So a friend had invited me to go to an event and there was 175 people there and I show up and I'm like deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, I don't know anybody. I sat in the back of the room, which if people meet me now, they'll be like, you sat in the back? I'm like, yeah, I sat in the back and I'm like trying to be a wallflower and I don't want it. And I watched this woman at the front and she was so articulate and I thought, wow, she's got it going on. And have you ever had that moment?
Where yes.
You're looking at this person, you're like, she's amazing. Oh, I want to know her, but I'll never know her. I mean, that's what you tell yourself, right? So I left the room and, there were these tables and someone said, oh, we're this organization. It was Healthcare Businesswomen's Association. Would you like to join? I was like, yes, this was great. I love this woman at the front of the room.
I love it.
So I joined and then I just decided to volunteer. So I start volunteering and getting to know people. And it's the best way to really get to know people is volunteering. And fast forward 6 months later, I ended up at that woman's house.
Amazing.
Yeah, I got invited to be on her board and through volunteering. So, and I never thought like that would happen if you had asked me. So I want people to hear that when you least think what's possible, it is possible.
Yeah.
You can make things happen. Even if you have no memory of what you just did 3 seconds ago, even if, you're intimidated by a room of power women and you're like, I don't fit. Yes, you do, because you walked through the door.
Right. You're there for a reason.
Belong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we tell ourselves bad, negative stuff when it's not there.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I always encourage folks to volunteer. I think that that's just another really good story to hear about how volunteering can really change the trajectory, whether it's meeting the right people, whether it's gaining experiences in a new area that you haven't before, or it's, just doing something out of the goodness of your heart that's going to make you feel good. So there's so much goodness that can come from that, both from a career space and just a life in general. So I think that's an awesome piece of guidance. So I appreciate you sharing that. Now, before we hit record, you were mentioning a story about a phone call that you weren't really thinking that phone call was for you. So can you tell us that story in your career and where that fits in with this?
Yeah. I am a connector. That is what I do. And I'm always thinking I'm thinking the dots, we got before this call, I was like, oh, I'm going to connect you to this person. And I'm always thinking of this. So I was driving back from a meeting and I just want to say that I had recovered significantly at this point. I mean, I was leading an organization. I was happy. And I get this call and the recruiter says, hey, I'm looking for this big position. And I wanted to talk to you about it. And it was a position of one of my biggest competitors whom I had routinely beat in big competitions. I mean, we're talking, I think it was 100, I think there were 175 million wanting to go to 300 million for president. So it was a huge role. And I said, okay, let me think about who I know and I'll call you back. And the guy was like, well, actually, your name was the name that came up for this role.
Yes.
And I said, okay, I'll still call you back. So because I am one to call my girlfriends, phone a friend. So I call my girlfriend and she's like, you need to call him back. And I was like, well, really? You think I should qualify for this job that's like this huge? I mean, it was a huge role. And I did end up calling him back. I was one of 5. I was the only woman.
Wow.
And during that time, and I think women will relate to this, and this is probably oversharing, but
That's okay.
I also had a medical situation that I had to have surgery, and I didn't want that to take me out of the running. So this is like the mindset, right? Like this was not that long ago, by the way. And I didn't want this to take me out of the running. So I didn't tell them that I had surgery. I didn't tell them because I knew it was 4 guys and me. And I didn't want that to be the thing. Like, oh, she's having surgery, you know. So I was making up all kinds of stuff like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to talk to you. Like I'm gonna be, traveling busy with trade shows. So the next 2 weeks are really busy for me.
Good for you. Yeah.
Luckily the industry I was in, but and I ended up I missed a one-to-one with the CEO because of it, because I didn't want to tell them. Was that the right decision? I don't know. They hired within, and then the industry, talk about another moment. The industry really took a hit, and I was really glad that I didn't have that position. And the person that took it was great, and it was right for him. So it all worked out. But we tell ourselves now in today's world, I think you could say, hey, I'm going to be on medical leave or whatever, or I'm going to be out. But I just didn't want I didn't want anything. Once I made the decision, like I'm going for this, I went for it. So I went all in. I had, a dear friend that's a CHRO that helped me and helped me prep and do all the things. So I was like, I'm going to, they're not going to know. Having this big surgery.
But to get the phone call, I mean, that's the real piece in there too.
Yeah.
Just, the brand that you built and the reputation that you built in the space, to get that phone call is such a, that's such a win in itself. And
right,
to recognize that is so, so great. And then the fact,
like, let me connect you to someone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you saying that? Stop.
Like, that's what I do. I connect people. He's like, no, we want you.
You must want my my Rolodex, right? You're just calling me for a connection. It's like, no, I'm not.
Once again, like the universe knew that the industry wasn't going to stay as stable. And
Yes.
I think that, looking back, and that's one of the things I always recommend for folks too, is just doing a little bit of reflection can really help inform your decisions going forward. And it can also we were talking about like celebrating, like, it can help you celebrate why things happen. And it can help you celebrate and recognize like your strengths and what you bring to the table when you do that pause to recognize, the story after the fact. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Now, one of the things I love that you talk about on your podcast and in your communities is how to stay relevant when the world of work is changing. So you've been through a lot in your career and probably have had to reinvent yourself. And tell us, like, when you hear people talk about like how to stay relevant, what comes up for you? Like, where does your head go, and how do you guide folks through that?
Well, you were talking about that trust factor and having people know you and know that they can rely on you. It's the same. I talk about relevancy and be in demand. That's the in demand piece. But the relevancy piece, I think the further women go, and I'm speaking to women because that is who, generally I work with, is we have a tendency to think that we hit a certain age demographic and no one wants to know what we have to say, when the opposite is true, actually, by the way. The more senior we are in our expertise, the more we can lend. It's how we frame it. And so the thing about relevancy and the way to really remain relevant is to be a curious learner. I feel that if we are not constantly challenging ourselves to learn something new, to add value, then we don't have the opportunity to add, anything to that conversation. And when I co-wrote Power of What's Next, I researched the question, how do women over 50 stay relevant? And the answer came back, ask someone younger than yourself for fashion advice.
What?
Now, the irony is that one of my dear friends is in this book who is a fashion stylist, as it turns out, but not not when I decided this. So I went to our mastermind and I was like, hey, so this is what it came back. And everyone was like, what? We're not done yet. And so that became an anthem. And that's why we wrote that book. So I think we have a tendency to, first of all, don't believe what you Google search isn't even what it was when I did that a year ago. So but this idea of relevancy is really about how do you add value, and you add value by being a curious learner and by adding to the conversation, to be able to offer ideas, to help someone, to pay it forward, to be that servant leader. So being relevant is really about finding ways that you can add value. And that comes from learning, I think.
Yes. I think that is such great guidance, especially in today's world when we all have to learn at this point, because we're getting shifted with AI so much and so fast. And if we don't get on board with that, then it's like when the internet came on board, like, the brick and mortar stores that didn't have the online shop, kind of fell apart. So we've got to do that ourselves. So the curiosity I think is great. And then learning and then using that to add value. And frankly, I think women over 40, 50, 60 have the best experiences, the best stories to share, the best wisdom because they've been through it. That's really where I think that conversation becomes so important when you think about diversity in the workplace and having different experiences and, different wisdom and different stories and bringing all of that to the table is really where things get pretty impressive, actually. And the innovation really kind of flies off the charts when it gets to that point. So with that, I just mentioned AI, and I know that you talk about AI and how it's changing our world. And I think you've done some work with this on your in your nonprofit. And so I would just love to hear your thoughts on where AI is taking things from your perspective and how people can be curious learners about AI.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because I think everybody's got a different opinion on what AI means to them, either at work or personally. Generally, people have tried it.
Right.
People have tried it, whether it's ChatGPT, whatever. Most people have tried it. If you're at a company, you might be using Copilot because they have the Microsoft suite, but generally people have tried it. I first started not just as a curious learner. So it started actually with our C-suite bringing AI ideas into the programs that we were already doing in the masterminds already. And last year, my nonprofit, Her Health X, we were trying to figure out how to bridge the care communication gap. And it just turned out that AI is going to solve that. And so I decided, okay, I need to really learn as much as I can, understand this so that I can help guide this forward. And when I started doing it, I started becoming a little obsessed and I started getting more curious. And at the same time, we're about to go into the biggest wealth transfer ever for women, 2028. So then I started thinking, you know what? If women aren't at the forefront and driving the AI conversation wherever you are, it doesn't mean that you have to know coding. It doesn't mean you're creating apps. It doesn't mean any of that. The wealth transfer can be impacted because, as I like to say, shenanigans can happen.
This is true.
So we didn't program it. We didn't start it. There's very few women at the top of any of the big AI, there's there's 40,000 small companies. But so I just became really believing that women need to drive the AI conversation. It's so important. It's up to us, from a governance, from relevancy, from just realizing that we can shape what is happening. Right now, it feels a little scary. We talked about that earlier, like feeling scared. This is our moment to really understand that we need to be curious learners about, if you're not going to be about anything else, spend 5 minutes a day just learning that, because, and it's not necessarily that you're coding or anything. It's just trying to get big picture of what's happening out in the world.
Do you have any tools or resources where you would send people just to try to learn more about the big picture?
Yeah. I mean, well, in her C-suite, we have that. But one of the best places is LinkedIn Learning. It's free. You can take all kinds of, courses. There's also some of the big companies. NVIDIA is actually off. They have 10 free courses that you can take. So there's there's places that you can go. I think it's up to your comfort level with how technological, how techy you want to be. The one thing I would suggest is look at things that are within the last 6 months. I took a course on Microsoft. It was, a certification, but it was from 2024. This was last year. And I just felt that the information was so dated already.
That's
that
scary.
I couldn't, it wasn't, and it was only it was mid-year last year. So it was only like a 6-month window.
Yeah.
But really that's how fast things are changing. So I think LinkedIn Learning, there's fantastic free resources there to just get curious about, there's all kinds of things that you can learn. You don't have to code.
Yeah.
You're just learning what is it? What's happening? What's the trend? There's a lot of really great resources there.
Yeah, that's great guidance. I love LinkedIn Learning.
I know.
There's so much, and it's easy to search too and find stuff.
Yes.
Now, I'm curious, Natalie, when you have done the research on AI, and I'm assuming in women's healthcare and wherever else you've done this, I don't know how much you want to share or you're able to share in terms of your vision on how it all comes together. Are you able just to share a little bit about that and kind of what you're thinking?
There's tremendous possibilities for healthcare. Tremendous. Solving really difficult things. If you read about all these mathematical, things that they're able to make machine learning do, think about what they can do with hard to solve rare disease, for example. I think that's one of the most exciting.
Yeah.
I think there's also a flip side that's not so good. So you have to, people hear that you're, really into AI now. And it's well, I just like to know the lay of the land.
To be informed, yeah.
To be informed. So for women's health, I think femtech is one of the most exciting areas that is growing with AI. Yeah, our platform is going to make it so you can describe your story or your symptoms, and it will give you keywords on what doctors are looking for so that there's not a care communication gap. And
that's
as
big.
a caregiver or as a patient, we all have stories. We love telling stories. I just told lots of them.
You did.
And a doctor would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where's the through line? What am I supposed to look for? So we're going to pair up all the things we want to share with the keywords and then take your keyword list to get care.
Natalie, congratulations. That's a big deal. Yes.
It is. I'm excited.
That's really, really awesome. And yes, if anyone's listening and thinking about an industry change, I totally agree. Femtech, health tech, these are places where you can make a huge impact. It's not going away and it's going to grow and change quick. So really good thoughts there.
And I'll give a shout out to a partner, She Leads AI, which I love what they're doing. And they have Saturdays. You can just go and learn AI for free with about 40 women. It's if you've ever been to Innovation Women Speaker Friend Friday, it's that. But it's She Leads AI and does an amazing job of educating women and all backgrounds. Nobody knows anything about AI to experts. And they have interesting topics for 2 hours. You were asking about resources, and I go there to hang out with them and learn. And so it's a great.
Well, that's awesome. I hope you could share the link with us.
Yeah, I will.
Somewhere we could go.
I'll give you that.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So as we kind of come to close, I have 2 more questions for you.
Yes.
For somebody that's listening who maybe feels a little bit of fear around being left behind or becoming irrelevant by AI and change and the next generation and all the things, what would you want them to remember?
This I learned from Coco Selman today, actually. I was in a session with her. Remember, I am. I love those 3 words because it's a reminder that you're already great, that you're amazing, that you shouldn't lose track of that. And then imagine what you could be. The thing about AI is that all age has been removed. I am probably older than most of your listeners. And if you were to say to me, oh my gosh, at your age, you're doing all this stuff. Yes, I love it. So know that you're never too old to learn, and that if you keep sharing what you're learning, people will know that you have something to say. And just, I want them to know they matter. It's remember, I am. I
Oof.
am important. I am valuable. I am a mom, a sister, a daughter, a friend, whatever that means for you today.
All the
Right?
chills. It's so
Isn't
good.
that so good?
Yes.
I love her so
Yes.
much.
Yes. It's amazing. So it's really measured by how deeply you show up, your curiosity, your courage, and then being willing to share. I just think that is such fabulous guidance. So thank you. Thank you. So as we come to a close, I always like to ask a flourishing favorite. So a book or a podcast or a resource that has had a significant impact on your career and why you would recommend it.
Yeah, my new favorite, which is within the last year, is Coco Selman's A Force for Good. She is an incredible person, leader. She's got 2 podcasts, but she's got a book, which I will show you because I keep it at my desk. It is the best entrepreneur book I've ever. Force for Good. She has it digitally, but it really helps you think as a person. What do you value? What matters to you? If you're starting a business, she has a 4-page, business plan that is unbelievable. You can get it for free online, forceforgood.biz. She's amazing. And I would just recommend her for all your listeners.
Oh my
I
goodness.
can't get enough. So her quote before and now her book.
Love it. We're gonna have to shout. We're gonna have to shout her out on LinkedIn or something. This is amazing.
Drop the mic. She's amazing.
Oh my goodness, Natalie! Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing all this wisdom and stories. It has been such a delight.
I really have appreciated this opportunity to share these stories. I don't talk about them very much, so hopefully it was helpful. And Jen, thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
Oh my goodness. Yes, the stories are so helpful. You're an expander on so many levels. So listeners, as always, the detailed notes from today's episode will be on the blog at flourish.careers/blog. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.